Hello, my name is Amy,
Hi, my name is Charlie.
and we're going to be talking about this semester in ECS 210.
Wow, what did you learn in school this semester?
Well, thank you for asking. This semester, I learned a lot about curriculum.
What's curriculum?
Well, sure. Curriculum typically refers to the knowledge and skills that students are expected to learn. This includes learning standards, learning objectives that they are expected to meet, the units and lessons that the teachers teach, the assignments and projects given to students, the books, materials, videos, presentations, and readings used in a course, also tests and assignments, and other methods used to evaluate student learning.
Wow, Mom. Do I have curriculum at my school?
Of course, Charlie. Every school in Saskatchewan uses the curriculum. Isn't that interesting?
Wow, what about your other degrees? Are they useful?
Well, Charlie, they were actually very useful in ECS 210. I completed a degree in Women and Gender Studies from the U of R, and it really helped in my knowledge about gender oppression. Gender is something that I find really interesting, and especially examining gender oppression. Gender's everywhere. Gender norms begin the minute we're born. Boys are wrapped in blue blankets, and I wrapped you in a pink blanket. When we try to break out of the gender norms society has laid out for us, they're sometimes known as the outsiders. For example, the boy who wears makeup or the girl who plays hockey. That might challenge the norms. These gender constraints are surrounding us everywhere, yet we never often think about how they are rooted in society until discussions are pointed out in classes like ECS 210. My family, university education, and work environment have all influenced my knowledge of race, class, and gender. It was really interesting coming into education as an after-degree student. My degrees are in religious studies and, like I said before, in women and gender studies. And I never really thought that that would be able to be connected very much into education. And it was really exciting when I could apply my previous knowledge about oppression and all the research and work that I did in those classes into education. And perhaps one of the most fun assignments that we did all semester was when we got to teach a lesson in the seminar about the Man Up Against Violence events. I loved the Man Up Against Violence, and I think it's a great campaign because I think it's time for men to start standing up for violence against women and having more resources available to men and not just women.
Wow, what else did you learn, Mom?
Well, we also learned lots about racism.
What's racism, Mom?
Well, Charlie, racism consists both of prejudice and discrimination based in social perceptions of biological differences between people. It often takes the form of social actions, practices, or beliefs, or political systems that consider different races to be ranked as inherently superior or inferior to each other, based on presumed shared inheritable traits, abilities, or qualities. It may also hold members of different races and that they should be treated differently. That's not very fair, is it?
Wow, that sounds awful. Does it happen in Regina?
Well, Charlie, unfortunately, racism happens everywhere in the world. In Canada and in Regina, it often happens to the First Nations people, and it's been going on since Canada was discovered. I learned in ECS 210 and throughout my other degrees that it's the oppression of Aboriginal people that has spanned over Canada's history, and it still exists today. And it's interesting and essential for high school students to learn. Educating students is the most effective way to minimize the ignorance and racism that is so frequently seen in society. I believe that it's especially interesting to educate students in this area from a Saskatchewan perspective, as students will hopefully be able to identify more with the content as it relates specifically to our province. In finishing my religious studies degree, I conducted a significant amount of research on Aboriginal spirituality and traditions. When I was completing my Women and Gender Studies degree, for the first time, I learned about intergenerational traumas that took place as a result of residential schools. I focus mainly on violence against Aboriginal women, much of which takes place due to the lingering effect and the cycle of addictions and violence that are a result of previous generations attending residential schools and the mistreatment that was placed upon children.
What's a residential school?
Well, Charlotte, residential schools are really sad. Aboriginal children were taken from their home about as young as you, and they were put in schools where they were forced to live, and they were treated very poorly. And sometimes they never saw their moms and dads ever again.
Wow, that's really sad. What else do you know?
Well, after I finished university, I worked in the social work field, both in counseling young offenders and in child protection, where a majority of my clients were Aboriginal. During this time, I was able to experience firsthand the oppression that young Aboriginal people experience and how residential schools, loss of traditional land, colonization experiences, and treaties still affect the youth of today. Such topics are examined lots in high school. Did you know that? And as a social studies teacher, I think it's really important that I incorporate the treaty education outcomes and indicators into my lessons. What do you think about that? Cool.
OMG, ECS 210 sounds really fun. What else did you learn?
Well, what I really liked about the class was one of the professors, Mike, talked lots about his teaching experience, and I especially appreciated the information that he shared about his teaching experiences in small town Saskatchewan.
Gosh, he sounds like a cool guy.
Well, what's really neat is we had 4 teachers teach the class, and I really liked that because it got the students to listen to a variety of perspectives as each teacher came from a different background. It was fun. We also had several good guest speakers.
Wow, this semester sounded awesome. I was in university too.
Well, what's really interesting is the things that I learned in university, I get to take and teach it to kids just like you, or even some a little bit older. What do you think of that? Overall, I thought this semester was really awesome. I'm in the after degree program, so it was my first semester of education. Going into it, I really didn't know what to expect, but it ended up being a wonderful experience in not just ECS 210, but all of my classes. The assignments, the lectures, they were all awesome. I especially appreciated the seminar. It was really nice to get into smaller staff groups and really discuss the content as well. It was really beneficial to have Aubrey's help. She was wonderful as a seminar leader, and I really enjoyed all of the assignments as well. One of my favorites was when we examined the curriculums from the various schools. I focused on Cornwall Alternative. That was something I had never done before, and it was very beneficial and valuable for me to understand those curriculums as well, because as teachers, we could end up anywhere throughout our careers, and it's really good to have that knowledge basis. So thank you so much. The semester was great. I learned a lot, and have a good Christmas. Bye.